The 1970s were a time of freedom, fun, and fearless expression, especially for girls. From bell-bottoms to disco, and secret notebooks to carefree adventures, the era was unforgettable. If you grew up in the 70s, you'll remember these 25 things girls did that made the decade so iconic. Made friendship bracelets. Girls in the 70s spent countless hours braiding colorful strings into friendship bracelets. These simple, handmade tokens of affection were often exchanged between friends, symbolizing a bond that transcended the wear and tear of everyday life. Whether you were making one during a summer camp or while sitting in your bedroom, these bracelets were a reflection of personal style and friendship. Roller skated everywhere. The 70s saw the roller skating craze hit its peak. Girls would lace up their skates and head to the rink, the park, or even just the sidewalk. Disco music blaring from the speakers and neon lights flashing set the perfect atmosphere for a night of fun at the roller rink. And if you couldn't skate backwards or do spins, you weren't truly a part of the roller skating crowd. Collected stickers and stationery. Back in the 1970s, sticker albums and pretty stationery were all the rage. Girls would trade, swap, and collect stickers with their friends, comparing designs like unicorns, rainbows, and glittery stars. Writing letters on adorable stationery, sometimes with matching pens and envelopes, added a personal touch to the way they communicated with friends and family. Wore bell-bottoms and platform shoes. Bell-bottom jeans and platform shoes were the iconic fashion staples of the 1970s, and every girl who wanted to keep up with the trends had a pair. These wide-legged jeans were often paired with colorful, flowing tops, while platform shoes gave a little extra height and added a touch of glamour to the entire look. Attended disco parties. The disco era was at its height in the 70s, and girls were all about hitting the dance floor. Whether it was at a local school dance or a neighborhood gathering, dancing to the beats of Donna Summer and the Bee Gees was a must. Disco wasn't just music, it was a lifestyle, and the fashion and moves that came with it were unforgettable. Watched Saturday morning cartoons. Before streaming services, girls in the 70s had to wake up early on Saturdays to catch their favorite cartoons. Shows like Scooby-Doo, The Jetsons, and The Pink Panther were a weekend ritual. There was nothing like grabbing a bowl of cereal and sitting in front of the TV for hours of animated fun, decorated with posters of their favorite bands. In the 1970s, girls' bedrooms were often covered with posters of their favorite bands. David Cassidy, the Jackson 5, and the Osmonds were just a few of the heartthrobs whose faces were plastered on walls everywhere. Posters were a way of expressing personal tastes and admiration for the stars of the day. Hung out at the mall. The mall was the ultimate hangout spot for girls in the 70s. Whether they were window shopping, meeting friends for an Orange Julius, or trying on clothes at the local boutiques, the mall was a central part of teen culture. It wasn't just a place to shop, it was a social hub. Played with Barbies. Although Barbie had been around since the late 50s, she was a major part of girls' lives in the 70s. With new accessories, outfits, and even the famous dream house, Barbie was more than just a doll. She was an aspirational figure that girls could dress up and play with for hours on end. Pass notes in class. Without texting or social media, passing notes in class was how girls shared secrets, jokes, or even made after-school plans. These folded pieces of paper, often written in colorful ink or decorated with doodles, were passed discreetly under desks to avoid getting caught by the teacher. Created macrame crafts. Macrame was a big part of the 70s craft culture. Girls would use cords, beads, and threads to create everything from plant hangers to wall art. This art form allowed them to express creativity while making something functional and decorative. Whether at home or in art class, macrame was a satisfying way to pass the time. Made mixtapes. Before playlists and streaming, Girls in the 1970s made their own mixtapes. With a cassette recorder in hand, they'd sit by the radio, waiting to hit record on their favorite songs. These tapes were often made for friends, crushes, or just for personal listening. Carefully selecting the perfect songs was a fun, thoughtful way to share emotions. Played double dutch. Double dutch was a popular playground activity for girls in the 70s. Armed with 2 long jump ropes, girls would take turns jumping in and out, trying to keep up with the rhythm. Double dutch wasn't just about skill, it was a social activity that helped bring friends together during recess or after school. Watched soap operas with their moms. Soap operas were a big deal in the 70s, and many girls would sit and watch them with their moms. Shows like All My Children or General Hospital provided hours of dramatic entertainment. Girls would often find themselves caught up in the romantic and suspenseful storylines, discussing the latest plot twists with friends and family. Collected Charlie's Angels merch. When Charlie's Angels hit the screen in 1976, girls everywhere were inspired by these powerful crime-fighting women. From posters to dolls and even lunchboxes, girls wanted to emulate the style and bravery of their favorite angel. It was one of the first times on TV where women were showcased as strong and independent, and it resonated deeply. Played records on their turntables. Girls in the 70s loved spinning their favorite records on turntables. Whether it was rock, pop, or disco, playing albums from bands like ABBA, The Carpenters, or Fleetwood Mac brought a personal concert experience to their bedrooms. Collecting vinyl records was not only a hobby, but a way to stay connected to the music scene. Practice dance moves for school dances. School dances were a huge event in the 70s, and girls practiced their moves well in advance. The hustle, the bump, and other dance crazes became essential knowledge. Girls would rehearse with friends, making sure they were ready to impress on the dance floor when the big night came. Participated in Girl Scouts. Girl Scouts played a big role in many girls' lives during the 1970s. Camping trips, earning badges, and learning valuable skills were all part of the experience. The sense of community and friendship fostered through Girl Scouts shaped many girls' characters, teaching them teamwork, leadership, and resilience. Read Judy Blume books. For girls growing up in the 70s, Judy Blume was a beloved author. Her books, like Are You There, God?, It's Me, Margaret, and Blubber, spoke to the experiences of girls navigating adolescence. These stories were often passed between friends, becoming a source of comfort and understanding during those formative years. Wore knee-high socks and mini skirts. Fashion in the 70s had a mix of bold and playful elements. Girls often wore knee-high socks paired with mini skirts and dresses. This look, which combined both cute and chic, became a staple of 70s fashion. It was a way for girls to show off their style and embrace the colorful, youthful trends of the time. Styled their hair with hot rollers. Hair was a major focus of style in the 70s, and hot rollers were a must-have for girls who wanted voluminous, bouncy curls. From Farrah Fawcett-inspired feathered waves to glamorous big hair for a night out, hot rollers were the secret weapon to achieving the perfect look. Wore mood rings. Mood rings were a quirky fashion accessory that girls couldn't resist in the 1970s. These rings, which changed color based on your mood, were a fun way to keep up with the latest trends. Girls wore them to show off their emotional state, or at least what the ring claimed it to be. Used Bonnie Bell lip smackers. Bon Bell lip smackers were an absolute favorite in the 70s. Girls carried these flavored lip balms everywhere, swapping flavors like watermelon, strawberry, and root beer with friends. Not only were they fun to collect, but they also became a status symbol among girls. Road bikes with banana seats. Biking was a popular pastime for girls in the 1970s, and no bike was more coveted than one with a banana seat. These long, padded seats allowed for more comfort, and even an extra passenger if you wanted to give a friend a ride. Cruising around the neighborhood on a banana seat bike was pure freedom. Made Shrinky Dinks. Shrinky Dinks were a fun craft activity that girls loved in the 70s. These plastic sheets could be drawn on, cut out, and then shrunk in the oven to make little charms or ornaments. Girls used them to create custom jewelry, keychains, or decorations, each one unique and special. The 1970s were full of fun, creativity, and evolving culture, and these activities and trends were just a part of what made the decade so memorable. What do you remember most from the 70s? Feel free to share your memories in the comments.